Welcome, everyone, to episode 33 with someone that I recently had the pleasure of meeting. I knew who you were, but I had never met you.
Yeah, I knew who you were too, and I never met you.
How fun.
Right?
Juan Miguel Lopez from Uninhibited Marketing. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I was a fan of the show, and I'm like, how do I get on here?
Oh, my gosh.
And then
Very easily. I have, no offense, but I mean, it's open casting here.
Yes. But I just really appreciated the content and the approach that you were taking, and I'm like, I should probably get on that train, on that show, kind of have a conversation with her, because it seems like you understand kind of where the social media marketing stuff is going.
I'm trying to. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but tell everybody what it is that you do.
So I do social media marketing and social media branding for B2B, business to business. So, insurance agencies, real estate agencies, other marketers.
Right.
So anyone who is marketing to a business, I do their social media marketing, or can do their social media marketing. And that's basically, I focus mainly on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the main driver of B2B marketing. But, I do other platforms as well.
Yeah. LinkedIn is really, really, really taken off. It is. I had someone on a couple episodes ago, Daniel Wakefield, who's my headshot guy. Shout out to Daniel. He's phenomenal. And but he actually just wrote a book in general for his space about how he made his business a 6-figure business in 12 months. Wow. And it's for creatives, right? Because I know that a lot of creatives don't have the business knowledge.
Yeah.
And so anyways, the platform that has grown his business, and he has a whole chapter dedicated to it, is LinkedIn. So it's for people that say that, no, it doesn't work, it's so this, it's so that. I mean, people are growing astronomically on LinkedIn.
It doesn't work if you're going to do what everyone else is doing.
Correct.
If
you treat it like other platforms.
Correct.
You can't treat it like Instagram, and we don't want. I'm not opposed to seeing family photos on LinkedIn, but I don't want every single time the kid takes a step on LinkedIn. Like, it's not Facebook, right?
Some people have used LinkedIn as a Facebook replacement. Yes.
Correct.
Where they and I think that they confuse that for authenticity.
Right.
And that is not the case.
Let's get right into it then.
Yes.
Because we talked a little bit while we were talking off camera, just in general. And then I was like, wait, let's stop. Just hold it for the camera, because it's really good stuff. And, and the audience needs to hear it, because it's, dude, owning a business is just, you're wearing 19,000 hats all the time. And unfortunately, social media, LinkedIn included, can sometimes be an afterthought, right? And by the time you're like, oh, I haven't gone on LinkedIn today, it's the end of the day and you're exhausted. Yeah. And you don't have a creative ounce in your body. You can't put a post together. Yeah. Talk to us about authenticity and LinkedIn and social media in general, but let's talk about it.
So I think that, first of all, what a lot of small businesses are not taking advantage of is that they are actually a small business, and that they have no corporate mandate.
Right.
They have no limits as far as their content is concerned. The only limit to your content is your audience. And are you bringing value to that audience? Are you entertaining them? Or are you educating them? And that's the two. That's it. Mm. And I think what happens, my experience is mainly with insurance agents and agencies, is that they don't realize they're not selling a product and they're not selling a service. They're selling themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay? They're selling that they know what the client needs, how to provide it to the client, and they're selling their personalities. At the end of the day, that's what you're doing, because in a business like insurance, everyone's swimming from the same pond, right, as far as insurance carriers.
Right, and especially in Florida, with the products we have, it's limited.
Yes, so what you're really selling is you, and I always tell people, I'm like, if someone is willing to have a beer with you, they'll probably buy a policy from you. So, and that works for other industries as well. It's whatever you're going to provide, someone else is providing.
Right.
Okay. Someone else is doing it. You have to think of it like, how am I going to differentiate myself? And if I've had situations where people have told me, well, let's just do it like so-and-so. And I'm like, well, so-and-so has a multi-million-dollar marketing budget.
Right.
You know, they have, they are a huge company that is not going to, you're not going to win on that battlefield. You don't take you don't take ice skates to the desert. You have to understand what terrain you're on, you know? And LinkedIn lends itself to small businesses and being able to make that type of content, this type of content right here, you know? How many people would be so terrified of saying dude in a video?
I also know, like, we're friends.
Yeah,
I know this audience.
Yes, yeah. But I'm saying, like,
Right, right.
so many people are so concerned with looking professional. And I've read posts about this before, and I'm a really big advocate for this, is that I think the word professional is being reformatted, and it's changing. And I think professional has more to do with how you treat people and how you make people feel rather than what you're wearing or how you talk, you know? So I think people need to lead into that, and they need to lead into who they are. I've advised people, you know, I had one client who was like, you know, he had a military background. I had no idea he had a military background. No one did. And I'm like, you need to post this, but you need to have that connective tissue where what you learned in the Air Force has bled over to your business. And what lessons did you carry over from the Air Force to build your business? And that's the way you frame it. It's not just going on LinkedIn and being like, hey, what's up? I was on the Air Force. I was in the Air Force. Like, no. It's providing that value where you are using a part of your story to highlight a essential business practice, and then people relate to it. Because either that's where they want to be, or that's where they want to go, or that's where they are, and they don't know how to get there. And you're doing it through the prism of a personal experience, which is way better than just being like, hey, business lesson 101. Da, 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 da. And then no one instant tune out.
Right. We so I went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale for interior design, though.
I could tell.
Yeah, well, thank you. And so I think that's one of my advantages, even with like building the bunker, right? It's just that I do have an eye for it. But one of the things that when I speak about branding in the insurance space, you know, when I'm on stage and stuff, and it's talking about like making yourself seem larger than what you are, right? Like,
correct.
Which is what I have used social media to do, which is why I'm intentionally bold in like my aesthetics and things like that. And I think that, I mean, I know we're talking about authenticity. I'm not saying to do it in a deceiving or manipulative way, but when you have the capacity to storytell, people perceive you as an authority.
Correct.
And people perceive you, in my case, larger than I am.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I'm about to post, a meet the team picture, it's four of us. I'm not going to pretend like we're huge. I'm also not shooting myself in the foot, right? Because I'm not showing up on these platforms being like, as the world's largest insurance agent, but there is an advantage to storytelling.
Correct.
And to do it in a way where it sheds light on what you want it to.
Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of borrowing concepts from other storytelling, like books or movies or television. And what you're talking about is, I tell people all the time, is like, you're just turning up the dial on your personality. And the way I explain it is professional wrestling. So hear me out, people. Just wait for it.
Listen, have you watched the Vince McMahon thing on Netflix?
I saw it.
I saw the first episode. My husband was like, you have to watch the first episode.
Yeah.
It was the first episode was really good.
It gets progressively better and worse.
Okay. Yeah. He was just like, I don't know that you're going to enjoy the rest of it, but the first episode is the business of
So
him.
he So I tell people, I'm like, wrestlers, the wrestlers that are most successful, they talk about how it is a character, but really it's the real them dialed up to 11.
Turned up.
It's like Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's like, I am not that brash or that like that way all the time, but that is me. I just turned it all the way up. you know. So that's kind of what you have to do for any type of media, is that, so many people think they're boring, and that is the problem.
It's so funny because when you walked in, I told you, like, I'm on this thing of like, finally, I'm just going to bite the bullet and make the content. Right. And it took me 6 months to get over. I'm just like, what do I have to say? I don't have anything to say. What do I do? It is a mind shift.
Yes.
Because it's a thing of like, you have to assume people are interested in your life.
Yeah. I think there's a resistance to it, because you're like, like,
nobody cares what I'm doing.
Who cares? And it's like, you have to understand that, no one's ever, it's going to start out with no one caring, which is what you have to kind of accept. And people don't realize that's the ego thing, is that you don't want to go through the 6 months of getting 1 or 2 likes. You don't want to go through making a video and then it not working out. You don't want to go through that. And the fact is you have to go through all of that. And, I've built brands from, nothing to all the way up. And there is always that struggle. There's no easy way. I think that what happens is that social media is something that anyone can do, right? Anyone can go on Instagram or LinkedIn and make a post. So therefore, people are like, it's not of value, and it's so easy, but it's not easy whatsoever. And then people continually are looking for shortcuts in order to kind of like pad their content. And I see it all the time. Listen, this is a PSA. If there's a rocket ship emoji in your writing, I know that AI wrote it.
Yeah.
Okay? We all know. You're not fooling anybody.
Right.
Okay?
Heavy on the emojis, you know it.
Yes. I mean, at the very least, take out the emojis.
And also the wording. It's very, it's always like unveiling, unraveling.
Yes.
It's always like really, really big buzzwords that normal people don't use constantly. One time I can use it, right? Yeah. But like.
So it's funny because I think that the real disconnect is that people are like, well, I'm in sales. I'm like, but your content can't be salesy.
Right.
Which is like.
Well, it's the concept. I don't know if you've ever been a part of a BNI group, but
I haven't, but I'm aware of them.
The concept that they sell, it's not for everyone. BNI. We used to be a part of it, and it worked well for us at that phase.
Correct.
At our other agency. But the concept is that people do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Correct.
So if you apply that concept to LinkedIn, to your platforms, then people will connect with you.
Correct. And I always tell people, I'm like, the concept of cold calling, right? A lot of people still do that.
We do it, yeah.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah. But some of those calls can be warmed up just by the fact
Correct.
that, you call them and they're like, oh, I've seen this, or I've heard of
you. Well, we're connecting with them on LinkedIn too. Yeah. The prospects that we're calling, we're looking for them on LinkedIn to connect with them so that they can see some brand awareness. So that way when we call, it's like, well, they might have seen my name already. They might have seen the bunker. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that the misconception with social media is that it's like, in this approach to this new marketing, right? It's that it's siloed. Yeah. LinkedIn alone, depending on the industry, may work. For most, it doesn't. Yeah. I use it for social proof.
Yeah.
I'm using it for the person that says, I'm in a male-dominated industry.
Yes.
Old male-dominated as well, right? I'm going after male-dominated industries for insurance purposes, right? Correct. Contractors, manufacturing. They at least, when they look me up, if they did, they would be able to see, man, she's a professional in her industry. She's active. She's engaged. Correct. She's part of an association. She's, it's a resume.
So I thought about this recently, and I can't believe it took me this long to realize it, but your LinkedIn is really your resume, your biography, your business card, all rolled into one.
Right.
Okay. You do not. First of all, guys, let's save the trees. I'm very anti-business card.
Oh yeah, I when someone asks me for a business card, I do it for 2 reasons. Because there's a bunch of people that want my time. Uh-huh. Not because like I'm anything special, but like there's certain professions that like we're target, prospects for, and I'm just like, I'm uninterested in going to a breakfast with you. Like, I just don't want to. So I'm just like, connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And I send everybody to my LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yes.
And I stop giving business cards.
And that is just, your LinkedIn is everything that someone has to know about you
It
professionally.
also allows me to see them, right?
Yes.
Like, because honestly, the person at the networking group that is the business card,
handing out cards.
yes, the spreader of the business card is the person that doesn't bring any LinkedIn value either.
Yeah, it's insane to me how how people don't. I mean, listen, I understand because it's a new platform and everyone is going to have reservations about it. If you're a 65-year-old insurance agent, you're going to be like.
Also, though, but I'm glad you said that though, because I mean, not saying that anyone that's 65 can't use it and use it well. You absolutely can. If anything, you have 25, 35 years of analogies and stories to tell us on it, if anything.
Correct.
But it's also just like evaluate the area of your business and your career that you're in, right? Like the stage of it, for young professionals that are looking to grow their career and things like it's critical. It's not an option.
Yes.
It's absolutely not an option.
So I think that people don't understand that the thing with social media, LinkedIn, and this is something that worked really well when I was at JAG, is that it's a recruitment tool.
I was just going to say that too. Yep.
Yes.
And so I'm so happy you brought that up because I was going to talk about even the concept of social media as recruitment. Like sometimes people just want to tie it back to business. Like how much business did I write? Well, for some professions, you can track that, right? Others you can't. But what about the recruitment and the culture aspect of it?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So you are creating a narrative where you're saying, hey, we're looking for people like this, people that relate to this culture.
Do you fit in here?
Do you fit in this culture? Do you want to contribute? These are the things that we provide. Like, if you're an agency, it's like, what do you provide your agents with? What resources? And personal branding is going to be something that appeals to a lot of younger guys and gals. And it's going to be something that you could use. Like it's when you are starting out in sales, any advantage is necessary because you are learning the business. And if you're learning the business, who are you learning it from? So I think that it's a great way to find a place where you're going to find the right mentor and the right culture. And listen, it's competitive out there for insurance staff.
Oh,
and staff in general.
Yeah.
Because what happened, and this is something that I'll pat myself on the back for this one. I told someone that I was working with at the time, I said, you realize that everyone who works in insurance is aging out and retiring. So you have to start appealing to other people because you're not going to be able to, quote unquote, take talent from other agencies because they're retired. They're done. So you have to look at other industries. You have to look at other age groups.
And develop them.
And then showcase that development.
Right.
The best content is showing someone who started as a receptionist and now is an insurance producer.
Right. And killing it. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So recruitment's very important. Social proof is very important. It is more than sales. I think it's very difficult. I find that salespeople are very, for lack of a better term, narrow-minded, and that they're.
Well, and they like their avenues. Like if they're cold calling, they're only cold calling. They're not doing anything else. If they're doing drops, that's all they're doing. But imagine the producer that is out there doing drops and documenting it.
Yes.
One of my favorite follows on LinkedIn, I don't know this person. I follow him. He's in commercial real estate. And I don't even think he's in Florida. And I love every single day he posts his stats of cold calling.
Yeah.
Cold calling for real, listen, real estate is a hard industry. Yes. I mean, you don't eat unless you kill, So, and every single day he does he does his 100 dials and he tells us, and it's his consistency is what I'm attracted to because that's what I lack. Yeah. Right. So I want to see his results because it tells me, okay, well, if he's having these results, so can I. Yes. 100 dials, 79 no's. Yeah. 3 voicemails, 1 yes, and the potential is this. That's huge.
Those are great stats,
right? Yeah. Not only are they great stats, but also it's just it's like I have a connection, and he has no idea who I am.
No, Yeah, and the thing is that I think what other people don't understand is that if you're B2B, you're getting referrals from other
Correct.
people.
Right. If I knew someone, I think he's in Texas. If I knew someone that was selling a commercial real estate, or I know an insurance agent in Texas that was looking to buy, I know him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know me, but I was like, oh, I could tell him.
Top of mind.
Exactly.
So that's what you want to be, is top of mind. You want to have. Listen, I know it's very difficult to have content every day. It's so difficult, especially like I'll just say, this is my November 1st will be 1 year since I started on my own, and it's been a hell of a roller coaster, And I've been thinking I'm going to be doing a LinkedIn post soon, where the headline is going to be "I'm a loser," but I have to be a loser. I have to be willing to lose.
Right.
I have to be willing to go in there and get a no and no and no and no and then get the yes. Okay? And you have to think about social media the same way. You're going to have videos that you spent 5 minutes on that are going to get tons of engagement. And then you're going to get something that you worked on for a whole day. And
it flops.
It flops. And you need to take those punches. And if you're not willing to take those punches, it's not going to work. Whenever I onboard somebody or whenever I pitch somebody, it's funny, you mentioned kill. I tell them all the time, I'm like, social media is not hunting, it's gardening. You have to water the plants. You're going to have food a year from now.
Right. It's a long play.
Yeah.
And it's a long, consistent play.
Correct.
Because the algorithms, once they like you, don't stop.
Yeah. You have to. You have to. The algorithm can change on a dime.
Right.
Sorry. No, go on.
I just want to, I don't want to forget this, because we started on authenticity, right? And talking about that. What is your best advice for people that just absolutely don't know where to start? They don't know how to show up authentic. And like, what are the lines blurred in between authentic and professional? What is your take on that?
Okay. So I think that, listen, let's go back to when we met, LAIA, right? Annual convention.
In person.
In person, yes. Yes. So we met in person, and then the way that you talk to people in that sort of environment should be the way that you write on LinkedIn. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't go to these networking events and all of a sudden just be like, hi, my name is Juan Miguel Lopez, and this is what I do. You don't do that.
Right.
You talk like a person. Talk like who you are. Okay? Type something out. And then just think of an idea, type it out, and then release it and see what happens. Okay? Just start. You have to just start. It's kind of like working out. It sucks getting to the gym. But once you get to the gym, you get to work. But getting there,
right.
Oof. But it's the same thing with social media. It's like, oh, I don't want to be on camera. Like, I don't want to. But you're on all the time. If you're a salesperson, you're on all the time. Because guess what? When you're at the family reunion, there's someone who's like, oh, don't you do insurance? Don't you do real estate? Don't you do this? And you have to go right into that mode again. So what I would say is just start filming with your iPhone, okay? You do not need a bunch of equipment to start. That is also like a lot of people think that the entry point has to be like...
I think that's also an excuse. Oh, I don't have the equipment, so I can't do it. Oh, it's going to suck. I can't do it. My audio is going to... No, these cameras, these iPhones they're great. They're great. The camera's great. The audio's great. Just do it.
I started doing this in 2018. So in 2018, the phones were what they are now.
Right.
Like, you could film a movie on iPhone, But it's not only that. It's just that people think they have nothing to say. And what you have to understand is that as cheesy and as corny as this sounds, you are unique. And you have a unique voice. And that voice is going to attract the right type of audience. And I think people really get caught up in like, oh, but this person has 20K followers and I have 200. I'm like, yeah, but how many of those 20K followers are converting?
Right.
How many of those 20K followers are loyal to the brand? How many of those 20K followers are actually building blocks in what the business needs to be? It's about the quality of the audience, not the size of the audience. You're going to grow little by little, but you're going to grow. And then you're going to see that people are going to recognize the work, and they're going to recognize you, and they're going to be like, and it's not going to happen. And like I said, it's a long-term play. And then, you're going to have days where you're like, oh man, this is exhausting. And I have days like that. I'm like, man, this social media thing.
Honestly, I have days where I feel like, and I'm not a mom, so I can't imagine being a mom and then feeling everything I feel.
Yes.
But I have some days where just the notification overload is just in between the group messages. And then I'm talking to people on every platform. So someone will send me a text message and send me a DM on Instagram, send me a LinkedIn message, send me a TikTok video to watch. Like, it's also just the same people, 5 different avenues. And it's like, sometimes I'm just, and I have the badge shut off on my phone. Like, it doesn't tell me that LinkedIn has 9, because I would go insane. So only when I open the apps do I see the notifications. Yes. But I feel like it does. I'm so glad you said that, because I feel like I'm recently starting to say, I've decided to do more of like a day in the life of, just the behind the scenes stuff. And one of my own roadblocks, which I thought about it this morning driving here, and I was like, Ciara, you're just telling yourself that as an excuse to not do it. It's like, oh God, but like, what if it, this is actually kind of embarrassing, but I was like, what if it lands? And then like, I have to like engage with the comments, right? Because it's also that too. Like, you can't just post the content and then not engage.
Yes. So you do have to engage. And then I've had people text me and be like, what do I say to these people that are,
it is.
And you get imposter syndrome too, because people are like, oh my God, this is such a great video. This is great. Da, 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 da. And you're like, I'm not that great.
Right.
Please.
Right. I've already felt that too. I think with speaking, you kind of get like, people just think you have it all together. So I was on a panel like 3 weeks ago in Indianapolis, and I opened it with like, listen, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I do not have it together. Like, let's just be on. Let's even it out, right? Because I remember being in that audience and looking at the people on stage and being like, I still do it, right? And just be like, man, if only I could have my business together like they do, right? No, everyone is struggling.
No, everyone,
and that's what we want to see.
Correct. I think that we've gotten past the superficial part of social media.
I agree, and I think we're over the celebrity content.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't really like, people are not going to care what you have. They're going to care how you got it and the struggle that it took, and everything that, like, like, I'm struggling. It's my first year in business. I'm refining things as I go and understanding things as I go, and other people are in the same position that I'm in. You take it's a risk. I took a huge risk going out on my own, and you have days where you're sitting there and you're stewing and you're like, oh, maybe I should just get a job.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I literally had this conversation on Monday. I was like, man, I think I need a part-time job.
Like, and the fact that we could so openly talk about it in a space that people are so worried of saying that, because they're like, who's gonna? And
then that's where I find my audience.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
In those people, right? Because if you would have said that, I would have responded to you and be like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one.
Yes, correct. And people don't understand that is the connective tissue, and you're gonna find people like that, and you're gonna find mentors and mentees. It's a whole other thing besides just selling whatever your service is. It's enriching your business in so many different ways. And you have to be authentic in the way that I think the word there really is vulnerable. And you have to have that vulnerability where you could say, yeah, I've messed up.
Right. And this is what I learned.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten every account I wanted. And it's like, you can't. So I'm a big journaling guy, so I try to journal as often. Sometimes I don't journal for like 2 months, but then I get back to it.
You're trying.
Yeah. And I was journaling the other day, and it was kind of like, it is so frustrating when the result is out of your control, but the result is always out of your control. Okay, I have lost accounts because the wife didn't. I've lost accounts because they have a new expense, a little unexpected expense, and I'm the first thing to go. And it has nothing to do with the quality of my work.
Right. It's not a reflection of you.
Yeah. It's not a reflection of me. And you have to learn not to take that personally. I think with social media, that's also another thing. It's like people are like, what if I put this out and people make fun of me, or people don't care, or people.
I saw a video because again, I'm on this journey and I've been processing it. And my last guest that I had, Malia, she is a social media attorney that helps new influencers, but especially the new ones, not get like taken advantage of by brands with their brand deals and stuff. And so she said it. She said procrastination is a thief. I was like, oh, I wrote it down. I literally wrote it down. Procrastination is a thief. And I was like, oh God, she was like, because you've been thinking about this for 6-9 months. You could have been making money already on social media if you would have just done it. And one of the biggest fears is that it's getting over, oh my God, but what are my friends going to think of me? Oh, what, who cares?
If you have a friend that is going to shame you.
The reality of it is too, though, like we just talk about that because also usually the people that sit back and shame you and criticize you and like will troll you are also the people that are stuck in a 9-to-5 that they hate and they're not willing to do anything that makes them uncomfortable.
Correct. And you have to be uncomfortable. And you're going to get to a point where you're like, I got this social media thing figured out. And then it switches on you. And you have to be, constantly evolving. But that's how it is with life, And if you're not willing to take risks, you're not going to get anywhere, And I learned that I was a very 9-to-5 risk adverse person. I'm 35 now. In my 20s, I would have never imagined that I would do this. The anxiety would be crippling, and it's still the anxiety is still there. I have the advantage that I'm single and I don't have kids that I know of. No, I'm just kidding. But that's an advantage for me in building my business. But you have to take those risks, and you have to take those risks as far as, one thing that I really, sometimes I have these questions that I ask people so that we can generate content. And one of them is like, do you remember the first time you lost? And everyone remembers the first time they lost. And then you ask them, do you remember your first time you won? They don't. Because you learn so much more from losing. So if you're not losing, you're not learning. And if you're not learning, you're not growing. So then how is it that you're going to take yourself to that next level? Whether it be social media or business or life or whatever it may be. How are you going to do that if you're so scared of people's perception of you? And I'll tell you, it's the small things. Like right now, like the shirt I'm wearing, I talked about it when I came in. I don't even think you noticed I had Spider-Man all over it. But I wore it because I'm like, I have to be authentic to myself. I am not a suit and tie guy. That's not who I am. I'm not, I've never been that guy. So I dress comfortably, and that's who I am. And if that's who you are, that's okay. If someone's not going to buy your service from you because you're not wearing a tie, they weren't going to buy it from you anyways.
Right.
Okay? So you have to understand who your audience is, who you are, and make that connection. And whoever's going to judge you, does it matter?
Right. It's so funny that you're saying that. And I think that what you just said too about if you're wearing a tie or if you're not wearing a tie and they don't buy from you, they're not going to buy from you anyways. I feel, because this is what I'm personally going through.
Yes.
Deciding to do this stuff. Even this was work. Like for me to start doing this, it was terrifying.
Horrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. And I'm just like, I don't know how to interview people. What am I going to ask people? Like, what am I going to talk about? Why me? Right? Yeah. That whole thing. And then it has turned into a thing where now I actually enjoy it. At first it was work.
Yeah.
And it took work for me to get to enjoy it.
Correct.
It's a muscle. I had to schedule it intentionally. So I blocked time on my calendar to do this every Friday morning, Wednesday afternoon are my times. It's also for me, as I already mentioned, I struggle with consistency. Yeah. It's also something that I can prove to myself that I can be consistent because like 1% of podcasts make it past episode 7. It's very very minimal. Yes. So it's something that also is helping me even just boost my own confidence with the consistency part. But it has ended up helping me be more me.
Yes.
Because I can't have this is conversation 33. I can't have 33 inauthentic conversations, right? I wouldn't be able to keep up with what version am I showing up as today. It's work. I just show up. I say what I say. If I mess up, they edit it. Maybe they won't.
Guys, editing. There's editing.
Right.
I feel a lot of people think that we're going live every time we're filming. We're not going live.
Right.
All right. You're not Instagram live.
I haven't done any of those.
You're not on LinkedIn live.
Right.
It could be edited. There's post-production. Mm-hmm. Okay? So don't be afraid to make a mistake.
I have a teleprompter there.
There you go.
For when I need it, right? Yeah. When I do which I haven't done in a while, but we used to record, educational insurance stuff. I couldn't remember my name. Oh, I bought a teleprompter. Okay, I solved the problem. There's a solution for every barrier to making content.
Correct. So you just have to understand what those barriers are for you and then be intentional, as you say. Plug, hire someone like me
Absolutely.
who can come in and say, okay, the other day I was on another podcast and I was saying is that really what I do is I come in and it's like organizing a room. I organize your brand. It's like, okay, you don't need this anymore. You could keep this. This is good. Because so many people have a logo and they think their logo is their brand, but that is not the case. Okay. Nike is not, just its logo, it's grit and determination and winning and being the best that you can be. Okay? It's not just the logo. McDonald's is not just the golden arches, it's nostalgia. It's that feeling it's the smell of the fries, it's all this stuff. Okay? When people say the name of your company, what do people feel? Mm-hmm. That's your brand. What do people feel? Do they feel safe? Do they feel heard? Do they feel like, I could trust this person? Those are the things that you have to think about. And I think that I'm very much, so many people say there's no feelings in business, and I am the opposite.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to isolate the feelings.
Yes. I'm it's all feelings.
I think for yours more so because it's your work product, right? Yeah. For us, we're selling other people's products. Correct, so there is a little bit of a detach, but for you, I can understand that it's hard to not take it personal.
Correct. And I've had to, over the years, I've not become attached to any one idea. You have to let the best idea win. Sometimes I don't have the best idea. Mm-hmm. My client has the best idea. Have
you heard of Josh Braun?
No.
So he's a sales trainer, leader, or coach, I guess. Yeah. I think he has a program. I follow him on LinkedIn. He was brought to us by one of I'm involved in a insurance community that does we have our retreat in Key West every year. He actually lives in Boca.
Oh, nice.
And so they brought him and he spoke to us. He was the keynote for the session. And he has his whole thing. He has the merch of it. His whole thing is detached from the outcome.
Yes. And it's
sales is you cannot be attached to the outcome because you can't control it.
Yeah.
And then when you are attached to the outcome of things, you seem desperate. Right? It's a thing of you're on the journey because you enjoy the journey. The outcome, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose next.
Yes.
That concept it's hard.
It's very hard.
It's very, very hard, but he's right about and more so even in your case too, when it is so personal because it's your creativity.
Yes.
So it's hard to do.
It's hard. And I do tell people, I'm like, I don't craft personas. I amplify personalities. I'm not here to create.
Right. You're not going to make me something I'm not.
Correct. Yeah, which is that would be a waste of both our time. But it's difficult. I read a lot of Stoicism, like Marcus Aurelius and stuff like that, and they speak about that detachment a lot. And you have to be, you don't control the result,
right?
And
it's the same thing with social media.
Yeah,
just show up.
Yeah, just you have to do it consistently, and then you start seeing the results over time. Now that doesn't mean that the results are always going to be fantastic. You're still going to have duds. Like you have to think about I feel like people don't realize. I mean, think about it like this. It's pretty low stakes. You could use your iPhone, put a video on LinkedIn. If it doesn't do well, whatever. People spend an entire year making a movie for $200 million, and then it comes out and it makes $20 million. That's
a big deal.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
That's going to be understandable when you're invested in the result there.
Right.
But even then, you don't know. Like, people think that they have a like, going back to movies, people, they screen test it. They think they have a surefire hit, and then it bombs. And then the movie that no one thinks, that John Wick was going to be a direct-to-DVD movie. Okay? And then they're like, just release it in theaters. And now it's made $1 billion over 4 movies. It's a whole franchise that I love, admittedly. But but they didn't think they had anything, and they just released it.
It's wild. It's so wild. Question for you.
Sure.
How does someone? It's interesting because my last guest, Malia, when we were talking about this stuff about like what is her advice for a business owner that's getting started on creating content, and her advice was actually great. It was like, don't create content with the intent of going viral.
You can't
because first, there's, like she said, first of all, if by any luck you do go viral, then the following that you get is going to expect that content all the time. And you just got lucky. Yeah. So forget about that. Forget about the likes. Just create the content for your audience.
Sure.
What is your advice to someone that is looking for their audience? How do you know who your audience is?
Well, listen, target audiences are very important, and you have to be very intentional in who you're marketing to. And this is across the board.
Correct.
Okay. And I always go back to, Disney owns ESPN, right? But they're 2 distinct brands.
For a reason.
2 different target audiences.
Correct.
You don't see Mickey Mouse on ESPN at the booth. Okay? They might do like some crossover stuff or whatever, but ESPN is a separate entity. Why? Because it's 2 distinct audiences. So if you are an insurance agent, and you say, I'm really good at commercial property, then understand and do research. I know that word's scary. You have to do research on what are those people looking for? What is the age range of these people? What is the
what are their concerns?
Yeah, what is their problem that you could solve? Okay, and then reverse engineering the content from that. Not creating the content and then see who the audience is going to be. You're not going to make money like that. It's going to be a disaster. Okay, it's like people who are like, should I be on TikTok? I'm like, do you want a 13-year-old to see your content? If yes, yeah. If you're selling something that's for a younger audience, then yes. If you're B2B, TikTok.
It's funny because I recently. I started looking on TikTok for like other independent insurance agency owners, like to see what kind of content are they posting. Could not find it.
Yeah.
It's life insurance. It's not existent. So then I was like, well, maybe that's my target. Maybe I'm going to be the one that can be found on TikTok for the person that's looking to like, what is it like to own an insurance agency?
Correct.
Right.
So you have to understand that all these platforms age up. Facebook was also for
correct
for the youngins, and now it's for your 45-year-old aunt.
Well, I mean, as of recently, it's kind of even the older boomers.
Yes, yeah.
They're going ham on there.
They've all discovered it.
Yeah.
So TikTok will be the same. It will eventually age up, and there will be another platform that replaces it for the youth.
Right.
What you have to understand is, like, if you're, again, who is your target audience? How are you bringing value to that target audience? You have to become very, very specific and narrow.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Selfishly, because, for example, you said, and because you've been in this industry, so you understand it. So, like, okay, you reference commercial property, right, as that, because it's one of the products or one of the lines of insurance that we sell. But, like, how does somebody differentiate it when there's different products?
Okay.
Like for me, in my mind, it was like, well, I'm gonna target women business owners.
Okay.
Right. But they might need different lines of insurance. So in my mind, I was thinking, well, don't go the insurance line route, just go the business owner route. But even if someone is actually selling actual products, like how, when there's multiple products in your offerings, do you niche down on a product level? Do you do a series on a product? How does that work?
It depends on the investment of time that you're going to make.
Okay.
Right. So if you're a 4-person operation, such as yourself, it's going to be, like I would ask, you do both personal and commercial?
Just commercial.
Just commercial, yeah. Personal is tough.
It's tough.
Yeah. So I tell people all the time that do both. I'm like, just think of Instagram for PL. I say PL insider. Right. For personal lines.
Right.
And then LinkedIn for commercial.
Right. So you can choose to have different target audiences on different platforms.
Correct.
Is what I'm hearing.
That's
great advice.
Yes. You should see what your product is. If you have life insurance, if you have, I know people who have several products, and it's difficult to what you don't want to do is do something where it's like one video where you're like, hey, I do all this stuff.
Right.
Because guess what? There's this story that I really adhere to. I think it was also Nike. And it was a Nike meeting, and they were talking about a new shoe or something. And the guy was like, well, the shoe is this, it does all this stuff. And the guy said, the marketer said, okay, pick one. And he's like, pick one? But it does all these different things. He's like, pick one. And he's like, why? And I'm like, if I threw 10 balls at you, you'd maybe catch one. Maybe. But if I throw one ball at you, your focus is just going to be on that one ball. You're going to catch it. So you have to understand, like, if you're making a video, let's say there's you're doing it on commercial property, right? Let's say this is a video specifically for property managers. Mm-hmm. Stay on it.
So maybe like do a series.
Yes.
For them, right?
Yes. Do us and listen. YouTube, your content lives much longer than all the other platforms.
And Google owns it.
Yes. So Google will push that out, and you just you have to see. What works and what doesn't work, but YouTube, it will be there forever. And YouTube is a search engine. It's not like LinkedIn. LinkedIn, sometimes you're like, why am I getting a St. Patrick's Day post? Yeah. Like in April, because the algorithms.
Yeah.
Microsoft has to fix that a little bit, but, they don't care.
Yeah.
But YouTube, you just put, and through YouTube, you really see your evolution too. And you see, like, how you've gotten better and more comfortable and stuff like that. So you really need to, and even with YouTube, you can niche down and be like, okay, so on YouTube, I'm going to focus on this audience.
Yeah, and YouTube allows you to make like the playlists and stuff, which is super helpful.
Correct.
What is your best piece of advice for people to grow their subscribers on YouTube? Because, so it's funny, all of this is selfish, by the way. It's so that I can learn too. So this podcast thing, not only did I want to take back my time because I was so tired of networking, but then it lets me learn.
Yeah.
And so I know that, like, I was trying to, because I think at 100 is when you can customize your channel name. And so yesterday I finally updated mine without all like the numbers and letters and stuff. And so, and I remember I had posted, there's a guy in my space. He's out in Phoenix. He has a YouTube channel. It's called The Garden Nerd. So follow him. He's super passionate about like gardening and helping the earth by planting trees. He's a phenomenal insurance agent. He's a phenomenal gardener. It's a blast. So he has his like agency page, but his like garden channel is big and like he has a following and, you know, it's a big deal. And so we, you know, I had posted my YouTube channel on one of like my Facebook groups and I was like, guys, like I'm really trying to get my custom URL. Like, can you please follow me? And he sent me a message and he was like, Ciara, you don't want a whole bunch of insurance agents following you because they're not your audience. Let it grow organically. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, but how do I do that on YouTube?
A lot of patience. You have to just keep creating content, and then, you know, like you said, the algorithm will pick up on it. Be very intentional about the way you title it. Okay, think about how you search for things on YouTube. Okay, if you're trying to fix something around your house, how do you search that on YouTube?
Right.
Okay. You know, like a few years back, I had a wedding or something, and I had forgotten how to tie a tie because I've been so long.
Right.
It's like how to tie a tie.
Right.
You know. So what is it that you're gonna do? It's like how to acquire insurance.
Right.
How to find this insurance.
Right.
Why do I need this
insurance?
It's
the why. I think the why, or how does it work?
Yes.
Yeah.
So with one of my clients, shout out to Alex DePazzo, I create a segment called Top 5. And basically I talk with him and we take what are the 5 most common questions he gets about a certain topic, about claims, about cancellations, about, you know, endorsements, stuff like that. Because people don't know what this stuff means. Like they have no idea. So if they're a business owner and they're like, why is my insurance getting canceled? You know, that'll be one of the videos. One of
the at the same event we went to early it's every June, and this year they brought a gentleman who's in the insurance space, and he is a consultant, and he had built an Allstate agency, sold it, all that stuff. And so he came to talk to us about the shift that's happening in corporate America, and that in the next 3 to 5 years, there's like 500,000 C-suite people retiring. And that the people that are coming for those spots, where do they go first to look for their information? They're all, so like that idea of why, of titling the videos, how you would search it. I'm 41. A 41-year-old male would maybe look for it the same way I would. Right? Typing it the same way, right? Because we're the same age. We talk the same. We were raised the same. You know, we have the same exposure to this environment of social media, that whole thing. And that's who's coming into the decision making for businesses.
So speaking of language, another way that you could stay authentic and do not follow trends.
Yes, that's what I've heard too.
Do not.
If it's not you, don't do it.
Yeah. Listen, don't try to put words like Riz in your, like, it's not, you know, right. That's not your audience anyways.
Right.
So your audience is not going to think it's cool.
Right.
You know, but, and the people who do use that word are definitely not going to think you're cool.
Right.
So
I don't even know what that means. So I'm definitely not cool.
Riz?
What is it, like pizzazz? Look at me like pizzazz. My 70-year-old dad says that.
It's like, Riz is like, you know, like charisma.
Oh.
But, you know, it's just a Riz. You know,
someone has the Riz? Yeah. Do you have the Riz, or are you the Riz?
You have Riz.
Okay. Oh, okay. I have Riz.
Yeah.
You have Riz. Okay.
Yes. So it's like
ZZ?
CZ. But
I will not be using Riz. Don't worry.
Just don't fall, because people get caught up and they're like, oh, I'm going to use this trending sound, or I'm going to use this or that. Use a trend if it makes sense,
right,
for your audience. Right. Okay, if it will bring value to them in a way of like, oh, I relate to that. That's funny. That's entertaining. But don't do it just to do it
for the likes.
Yeah. And the thing is, you're probably not gonna get the likes because your audience is gonna be like,
this doesn't fit.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that even happens like when I follow, for example, you know, an influencer that does fashion content. I've seen it in the comments where, I mean, I don't care. I feel if you're fashionable, you probably have a really nice house too. You probably decorate well. So I'm open to see it both. But I've seen some people that in the comments are like, I'm here, like, this is a fashion account. What, like, why are you showing me your home goods haul? people get really, really, really attached. Yeah. Yeah.
Really, it has to be. It makes no sense for you, like for me to come on this podcast and talk about like comic books. Like
Right.
people are gonna be like,
right.
I'm not watching this anymore. It's
Right.
lost. It's Jump the Shark.
Right.
Which, by the way, do you know where that came from? Jump the
Never
Shark?
even heard of it, dude.
You've never heard of
No.
Jump the Shark? So Jump the Shark is like a point in the story, like that you're like the believability is gone,
Okay.
and it comes from there was a show called Happy Days
Yeah.
in the '60s,
Yeah.
and Fonzie jumps over a shark,
Mm.
and that's when that show died. So that's when people are like, "You've jumped the shark.
Yeah. Too far.
You've gone too far."
Yeah.
So that
But you know that I feel like that kind of puts a creator in a pigeonhole too, which is the defense. Like the creator always responds like, I'm a lot, like I'm evolving.
Yes.
Maybe I'm getting tired of showing my outfits and I want to like,
correct.
you know,
but that is
you got to handle that, I guess, with grace too.
yes. So you have to handle that, but it's kind of like, you know, it's unfortunate, but you go to a Tom Cruise movie, you expect
Right.
him to run and explode.
It's so funny because 2 nights ago I was talking to my husband. We were watching The Office, and I was like, "Man, I don't think Toby could be any other character but Toby. Like if I saw him anywhere else, he would be Toby."
Correct.
And I was like, "But how does Michael Scott do it?" Even though I called him Michael Scott, and I was like, "Well, Michael Scott was in the morning show," and I was like, "Well, Steve Carell was in the morning show," and we were talking about that, about like how come some actors and actresses can break out of the mold and some can't. Jennifer Aniston is Rachel in movies.
Yes. It's just she's you get, and it might happen.
Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise.
Yeah, you might get pigeonholed as a certain type of content creator, and you might do something new, and it might be like people are like, I don't know.
Yeah, slow down.
You have to understand what I've always understood is, I am a creative. I love to be a creative, but it's not about what I want to do. Okay, it's about the audience and what's going to bring value to the audience. So we keep coming back to that idea. Listen, I could have a bunch of ideas, but I would never push some of them on my clients because it makes no sense for them, And if I want to do that, I can do it on my own and whatnot. But I can't be like, okay, hey, so listen, this is what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna do a John Wick parody,
Right.
Like
It's just not gonna happen.
no, and sometimes you have to save your clients from that.
Right. And tell them not a good idea.
Because your clients will be like, oh, I want to do this, or and you're like, listen, think about your budget,
Right.
think about what you're gonna do, think about your time. Okay. The other day I was filming a video and it took 3 hours to film it. It's going to be a minute and a half. Right? And the editing is going to take, so overall the product's going to be like 5 hours for a minute and a half. So you have to really understand, like, how much time do I have? Just go ahead and if you can't take a video, take a picture, and then express your thoughts. Start there. Start with a picture. Start here. But eventually, talk to yourself in the mirror. I know that sounds, weird, but you have to get those, like you said, those muscles going.
Right. And once you do it enough, it sticks. Like you're fine.
Correct.
You can do it.
And you and me, you're not interviewing me. We're having a conversation.
Right.
And that's what people don't.
Well, that's what eventually this turned. I realized it very quickly. I was like, oh, well, I barely even look at, like, I don't even know that it's there sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just I'm having a conversation that happens to be recorded.
Correct.
Right?
You're not Barbara Walters.
No. Unfortunately, because if I was, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah, but
I'd be on a yacht somewhere.
Yes. And so people, I think that from our generation and older tend to think about entertainment in those terms of like,
right.
And,
the younger generation, they don't care.
They don't.
They just know that somebody cares online,
Yeah.
and that they can show it.
But for us, we grew up pre-social media,
Right.
and it's like no one's gonna care
Right.
about this. But no, yeah, there's an audience for everything. I remember I was at a party, and I was telling someone, like, this guy approached me because of a shirt I was wearing, and we started talking, whatever. and his wife was there, and we were talking about comic books and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, I have an Instagram that's dedicated just to my Spider-Man collection. That's all I put on there. She's like, people follow that? I'm like, oh, they love it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't go on there and advertise my social media marketing.
Right. It's not your audience.
No.
Correct.
I don't go on there and I don't go on my Uninhibited Marketing Instagram and be like, look at this new thing I got.
Right. Right.
People are going to be like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know? So you have to, again, they follow you for a purpose. They follow you for a certain educational value, a certain entertainment value, and you do have to give them what they want.
I think that's the piece that is odd to comprehend. Even for me, I'm getting around there. And it's taken a lot of people telling me, Ciara, you have something to say. People care. But it's that piece of entertaining. Like, I don't think I'm entertaining.
I mean, I think you're entertaining.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
but then, the advice I got was, well, look at who are you entertained by on social media?
Yeah.
And it's mainly young women that are either in the corporate space or in like the business owner space. And I want to see what their day looks like.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, wait, if I'm entertained by this, then that means other people would be entertained by like what I do during the day.
Correct.
But that idea of you assuming you're entertaining is what we have to get over.
So here, maybe this will help. You're not special. And that's the point.
Right.
And that is the point. The point is that everyone is going through these things.
Correct.
Everyone has these problems. And they are desperate to get that affirmation that someone else is going through what they're going through or has been through what they've been through, and they found themselves on the other side. And, again, storytelling, I had, people, I'm always like, oh, who would care about my story? Plenty of people, because what happens is that I graduated from FIU, so it's story time now for the next 5 minutes. I apologize if you're bored. But I graduated from FIU, and for a year, I didn't get a marketing degree, but I got an English Lit degree and a public writing degree, like all this type of stuff. For a year straight, back then, 2013, where like nothing, I applied to social media marketing jobs and different marketing jobs and different writing jobs. I didn't get one call back. And then I was like, oh, it's not meant for me. Okay, so I have to get a real job. And I ended up in insurance. And then eventually...
Can't get out.
No, I'll never leave the insurance place. So I ended up in insurance. And then through insurance, I ended up in social media marketing. I took the most backwards way into what I wanted to do. I had no idea that was going to be it. I mean, one day I'm in a happy hour with people from Vader Media, and I'm talking to them, and then the next day, my boss is like, okay, we want you to head this social media thing that we're going to do. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Like, I don't, and then from there it grows and grows and grows. But what happens is I help grow it. I help the brand become super, well-known to its audience, to its space, and they sold. I don't have control over that.
Right.
And I had to sit there, with my girlfriend at the time, and I sat there and I said, I feel like so bad right now. Like I built something, and literally, I mean, the website's gone, all that stuff, and it's like,
well, the Instagram, everything is gone.
It's gone. Yeah. The TikTok is still there. if you want to see some of my old videos. And the YouTube is also still there. Hopefully they don't hear this. But I, and I was stewing, and I was like, man, I built this thing, and it's being taken away from me.
Right.
And that is where I sat down and realized, okay, it's not in my control, and I can't be this attached to it. The detachment, part comes in where I want my clients to succeed. I want my clients to have powerful brands, brands that matter, authentic brands, but I can only do so much. They might sell, you know, they might sell.
I mean, if anything, you should look at it. I mean, in this particular case, I don't know that because, they got bought by somebody so corporate, but.
Well, they were aware of the content.
Right. But it wasn't an asset to them, right? Like it wasn't,
politically, it was too much of a headache, I think. Because how are you going to let this agency do all this type of stuff and then the other agencies are going to?
No, they can't. No. But that's my point. Like
they said they would.
The people that purchased them decided because of their corporate values that that's not a fit. But imagine the smaller business, right? That you can propel to have a brand that's so widely recognized that they do get acquired and then they get to keep the integrity of who they are. Like that's really the goal. It's just unfortunate for you that they sold to someone,
not
corporate.
Unfortunate for them.
No, not for them. No. Listen, they like you, but they don't care. But honestly, it's instead of, and I understand the feeling of the attachment and you were friends with these people. I mean, it's deep, but, if it was just someone else that purchased them, right? It would be, and it should be still a badge of honor, but it would be different, right? Because it's like you helped them get acquired by your work.
So a lot of these people were well aware of the content. And they were well aware of, and then the other people that they would acquire were aware of us as well. So it was kind of like, for a minute there, that was kind of like a chip.
But they phased it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, because they're just too big, which is kind of what you said earlier too about the advantage of being a small business, right? You get to showcase your personality. You're not governed by corporate bylaws that you can't say dude or Riz.
Correct.
Right.
And it's just like, and you want to, and I am so fixated, for lack of a better term, on being authentic and having that authenticity. I can't be in a corporate space, me personally. But if it works for other people, it's fine. Me personally, I discovered that it's not for me, but I discovered that even before I got into social media. I just didn't think I had a choice.
Right.
But now I'm working on my own, and you have to take advantage of what you do have, which is you could tell your story unfiltered, uninhibited. That's why it's called uninhibited marketing, because I don't want to create marketing that is hindered by corporate expectations, industry expectations, any sort of expectations. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to get to know you, we're going to talk, and we're going to create content that's authentic to you, your business, and your audience. And from there, it will grow. It will take time.
Right.
But it will grow. And then you will have the satisfaction of knowing that you built something, being yourself.
Tell everyone where they can find you.
So, you can find me on Instagram at Uninhibited Marketing. I am on LinkedIn under Juan Miguel Lopez. It might be tough because there might be other.
Yeah.
There
might be a couple other ones.
But I'm linked to Sierra, so if you have Sierra, you can find me. And that's it for now. Hopefully within the next few months to a year, I'll have a website and all that type of good stuff. But for now, Instagram, LinkedIn has all the information you need. You can find me there. You can call me at, no, I'm not kidding.
You can follow it's under the Basso Insurance.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of your clients.
Yes.
That he does great work for. So if you want to see some of Juan's work, you can follow our homeboy Alex.
Yes, Alex is and we have a upcoming Halloween video.
His Halloween videos are always.
So
this is going to be released after Halloween, but they slap.
Yeah. So it is go back, whatever period in time this is now. Go back to Deposit Insurance and watch the Halloween video, because it's going to be very fun. And then we have a Christmas video that I'm currently writing.
Nice.
So that and again, these are all fun videos, but they fit within the framework of who Alex is.
Right.
And that's why we get to do them. And I never am like, okay, now we're gonna do this. This is gonna be the next video. It's like, no, like let's see where other clients of mine
Would never.
It would never work.
Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you. This was fun.
It was super fun.
So you're so easy to talk to. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll do it again.
Yes, hopefully. All right. Thanks so much.